Hello and welcome to the freebets.com Premier League preview. The last round of games, of course, of the season. Places are decided, relegation is decided, and of course we know who the champions are. But there's all to play for when it comes to the battle between the punters and the bookies. I'm joined by former Southampton legend Matt Le Tissier, who's going to take us through the runners and riders on the final day. Matt, first up, boys in blue against boys in blue, Chelsea versus Everton at the Bridge. Interesting time for Chelsea with a new manager on the horizon.
Yeah, there will be a new manager and a lot to play for. Chelsea in this one. I think they obviously want to secure third place. I don't think they want to go into the playoff as the fourth place Champions League team, so important for them to get a victory. And I think, given that it's David Moyes' last game in charge and his away record at the big clubs hasn't been particularly good, I think Chelsea will win this one.
Yeah, something he's got to improve on, of course, when he gets to Old Trafford. 9-2 Everton looks a big price, but Chelsea at 7-10, you have to say they look the bet, don't they?
Oh, for sure. I think at 7-10, I think that's a pretty decent price as well. I was expecting them to be a little bit shorter than that, so I'd take that all day. Yeah.
The other side of Stanley Park, of course, Liverpool, who've got issues of their own at the moment. They're 1-4 against QPR. QPR gone a long time ago, of course. 14-1 you can get on them winning at Anfield, which tells its own tale, I think. But anything other than a home victory here, Matt?
Can't see QPR getting anything out of this game. They look a demoralised team at the moment. Harry Redknapp has not been impressed with what he's seen so far there. He needs to have a complete overhaul of the team for next season, that's for sure. And so, Liverpool at 1-4 are incredibly sure, but I think I might be looking at maybe doing a Liverpool -1 or -2. And I think it could be quite a comfortable victory for the home side.
Yeah. Is there something at this time of the season of sort of players having one foot on the beach and people taking the foot off the gas? And do you get a few funny results in the last couple of games when things are decided? Or
there's been some strange ones down the years, yeah, for sure. Obviously, teams that get relegated. I remember going to play against Derby in the last game of the season, I think it was, and they were already relegated. And we went to the baseball ground and lost 6-2, I think it was, against the team we'd struggled to win all season. So you do get some strange ones, but can't see it happening in this one.
Man City, of course, recently departed Mancini. They've got Norwich at home. Anything to be said for the sort of making an impression on the final game of the season going into the next season? Is it, everyone's in the shop window, everyone's sort of trying to impress for the new guy. May not be in, of course, by Sunday, but do you think the City players will be giving it as much as they can?
It'll be an interesting one because I think there'll probably still be a caretaker in charge at this point. So the players may have they've very little to play for. It can go one of two ways. They can get completely relaxed, play some brilliant football, and go and win 4 and 5-0, or they can think, end of the season we've got nothing to play for here. It'll just be a pretty tame game, and you might see Man City sneaking it 1-0, but I'd be surprised if Norwich got anything out of the game.
Newcastle, now an interesting one for them. They're just about safe. Well, they are safe, obviously, with Wigan having gone down, losing at the Emirates the other night. But they play Arsenal, who have been in a fantastic vein of form. I think they've won 7 out of the last 9 and drawn the other 2. Funny old season for Newcastle. Made all those signings in January, not done anything with it really, and have been out of default as much as anything, not relegated because other people have been struggling with them. But Arsenal 8-13 looks like a shoe-in for me.
I think you're probably right. As you say, Newcastle very little to play for. Their home form has been pretty poor recently. They've been dropped by Sunderland and Liverpool at home. And you'd think that Arsenal have got enough quality to go there, especially with what's on the line for Arsenal, with Tottenham breathing down their necks. So I think an away win here is the bet for me. Newcastle, probably a little bit fortunate to go into the last day already safe, given that the points total they've got. Normally, if you're on that kind of points total going into the last day of the season, you're normally sweating a little bit, needing a point or something, and they can thank the lucky stars. I think that Swansea did them a massive favour by beating Wigan at Wigan's place a couple of weeks back. So it's been a poor season for Newcastle. Yes, they'll point to injuries, but I think with the players that they did have there, I shouldn't have really been in that position.
Another team who've had quite a disappointing season after their performances, particularly at home in the last few seasons, of course, is Stoke. Pulis, a little bit of the magic started to wear off, possibly. They're at your boys, Southampton, this weekend, and I think at 5-6, Southampton look a decent price.
I think they do. Stoke haven't been particularly good away from home either this season. They managed to pick up a couple of wins just at the right time when there was, really precarious position they were sat in. Got back-to-back wins and took them away from the trouble. But I think I do fancy Southampton. We've not been on a great run recently, and again, we're maybe a tad fortunate to go into the last day of the season without needing anything from the game. But it will be a tricky one. I mean, you say about Stoke, but if they get something out of this game, there's a fair likelihood that this will be the highest they've ever finished in a Premier League season.
Right, so not that bad after all, actually. But
but from a form point of view, certainly at home, as you mentioned, they've normally been very strong, but since Christmas they've been struggling a little bit, and even though Tony Pulis came under fire, there's still a very good chance they'll finish in their best ever Premier League position.
But as far as you're concerned and Saints fans are concerned, presumably mission accomplished for Southampton this season. Season of consolidation, managed to stay in the Premier League, build from here. Yeah,
definitely. I think anything above, when you come up from the Championship, I think anything above 17th place and you're kind of viewing it as a bit of a success. It's very important just to get that first step in, consolidate the first season, and then with the amount of money that comes in through the TV deals, you can then look to kick on and improve the squad, and hopefully that's what we'll do.
Now, a team that's had a great season from a Premier League point of view, and also of course from a League Cup point of view, is Swansea. They entertained Fulham last game of the season, 10-11 the Swans, the draw 11-4 and Fulham 16-5. But Laudrup's done a fantastic job there, hasn't he?
Oh, it's been a superb season. Obviously, as you mentioned, the Capital One Cup win, maybe they took the foot off the gas a little bit after that. But did everybody a favour by beating Wigan. There's 3 or 4 teams that were sweating on that result, and so they've managed to kind of put in a performance in a game where it was needed, and I think that's what's great about the Premier League. Although Swansea had nothing to play for, they still went there, give it a good go, and managed to help out other sides. This game, Fulham not been particularly great away from home this season. The Premier League record away from home in general has not been very good. Swansea at 10-11 I think is a pretty decent price.
Now Spurs obviously were hoping that they were going to get that 4th Champions League spot. Arsenal's form means that they're obviously dependent on Arsenal's results at St James's Park, and clearly have to still beat Sunderland.
You'd probably expect them to win that, so Spurs may come up a point short. I do expect them to win this game. Sunderland again, one of those sides who have been sweating all the way up until Wigan got beat against Arsenal in the week. So Tottenham at 1-3 is one for the accumulators rather than backing in a one-off bet.
Yeah. What do you make of the Di Canio revolution on Wearside then? He's obviously got enough to survive, and that's great, and I'm sure the chairman will be very thankful for that. But moving forward into next season, do you think he'll make a success of it there?
It'll be interesting. Looking at the way things have gone, would Martin O'Neill have done any worse than Paolo Di Canio? Difficult to say. I mean, I would have probably still fancied Martin O'Neill to have kept him up. I don't think he's kind of made dramatic improvements in the Sunderland side. I think they've been a little bit fortunate. They were completely outplayed by Southampton last weekend and sneaked a draw. So it will be interesting. He'll have a full pre-season. He'll be able to maybe spend a little bit of money, improve on the squad. But one thing's for sure, it'll certainly be entertaining listening to him on his touchline antics and in his after-match interviews next season. So he's one I think that will light up the Premier League in more ways than one.
Yeah. So Matt, to the Hawthorns, where West Brom entertained the champions Man United. No surprise to see United at 5-6, the home side 4-1 and the draw 3-1. Bit of a Olé party for United, do you think?
Yeah, possibly a little bit after the Lord Mayor's show, really, with the send-off that Sir Alex got at Old Trafford. The parade through the city centre and everything like that. So it'd be difficult, I think, for Man United to get back up for this game. I'm looking at the odds. For me, I think the value's in the draw in this one. I think West Brom have had a decent season, won't want to lose their last home game of the season. Whether or not they've got enough to actually beat United is another question, but I think the draw in this one is decent value. Yeah.
Now over to East London. West Ham entertain already relegated Reading. Reading 4-1, West Ham 7-10, the draw 3-1. Now, upset on the coupon here possibly? Do you think Reading could get something there? Again, foot off the gas, there's no pressure.
Yeah, it's one of those games where you could see all 3 results and not be surprised by it. Reading have obviously got the new manager in far too late to make any difference. I'm not quite sure what the thinking behind that was, but they'll be looking to build for next season, and players maybe with the pressure off, maybe able to put up a little bit of a better show. West Ham are very, very safe and comfortable. New manager signed his contract, so things settled there, which is good. But I think if I was going to be putting some of my own pennies on this, I think I'd probably err on the side of West Ham. I think it just maybe got a bit too much in the physical department and will overpower Reading just.
The final match on the coupon is Wigan at home to Aston Villa. What a roller coaster it's been for Wigan, not only this week but for the rest of the season as well. Of course, FA Cup finalists and winners unexpectedly, possibly from a bookie's point of view, against Man City, and then sadly, if you're a Wigan supporter, that is the following Tuesday, relegated at the Emirates at Arsenal. 6-5 Wigan are for this win. Villa, who've been up and down all season, 9-4, and the draw 5-2. No one's got anything to play for, really. Sad for Wigan, but what do you think of this one?
It is. I mean, everybody looked at this fixture a few weeks back and thought, wow, this is going to be a crucial fixture, the last game of the season. It hasn't turned out that way. I think, for me, Aston Villa have shown much better form over recent weeks. I think they'll obviously miss Benteke a little bit, but I still think without him, I think they could probably still go there and win this game. We're going to be completely deflated. The last week must have taken a lot out of them. The injuries that they've had, the players have had to put in shifts, unbelievable shifts, go to playing two massive football pitches at Wembley and the Emirates in two hard football matches. And so for me, I think the value in this one is an Aston Villa win.
Okay. So if we were going to have an accumulator on this one this week, Matt, obviously there's a few short prices with a few favourites at home, Chelsea and Liverpool and what have you. Give us 3 or 4 teams that we'd bang into either an accumulator or a patent or something like
that. Well, I think the Arsenal one for me will go into an accumulator. Spurs at 1-3 is one, and I think I'd probably go for Southampton at 5-6 to bump up the odds a little bit, and if you're really brave, throw in Aston Villa to beat Wigan as well.
Well, there you go. That'll hopefully pay a few quid, buy a few pints on Saturday night. Now, before we leave this one, Matt, we're going to have a little chat, just 2 minutes on next season. All change at the top, of course. Mancini has gone from Man City. Ferguson has gone from Man United. And, of course, we expect, although it's not signed and sealed yet, but we expect Mourinho to be back at the Bridge. How do you see it shaping up for next season? Is it a 3-horse race, or can Arsenal get in there too?
I think it'll be fascinating next season, to be honest with you. I think it might be a lot closer title race next season. With Sir Alex leaving, I think that in itself will take quite a few points off of Manchester United's total next season, to be honest with you. It's a tough act to follow, David Moyes. Manchester City have obviously got the firepower, they've got the money to compete. Chelsea, I think, will come again, especially if Jose Mourinho does get appointed. I think they'll be right in the mix this season. Arsenal, I still think, are a little bit short of challenging those top 3, to be honest with you. Depending on the amount of money that Arsene Wenger decides to spend this summer, will, for me, decide whether or not they can get any closer to those top 3.
So there you go, folks. Hopefully you got the winners on the coupon there for this season, and a bit of an inkling as to what might happen next season too. Don't forget, all the best bookies offers, all the best prices are at www.freebets.com. All the best for the betting this weekend.